Good morning, I'm Carson Jeffries with the Mold Firm, and I'm here today with a longtime friend and owner of Allergen Mold Testing.
My name is Richard Johnson. I'm the President and CEO of Allergen and Mold Testing. We can certainly, we absolutely try to identify that if we see that there are circumstances, and we often learn why we're there is because that there's a suspected mold problem, whether it be a leak in the wall or whether there has been a leak in the wall. So under those circumstances, if we're looking to see whether that has an effect, we can take air samples inside the wall cavity, we can take samples on surfaces, we can take air samples and other samples that might be related to that. We can take bulk samples back to the lab and have them analyzed. So we absolutely can do that and try to help that. But even beyond that, we can tell them the nature of the kinds of leaks and the kinds of problems that are associated with that. For instance, if it's a toilet backup, that can have a sewage type backup. There's guidelines that are published by the EPA or the CDC. If that happens on a carpet, that carpet should be replaced. Anything that's a porous material, if you can replace it, it should be replaced. If it's a material like the plywood on the floor or underneath the carpet or something like that that you can't necessarily replace, then it should be treated properly and sealed and encapsulated and that kind of thing before you put it back together. So we can provide some of that information about how to properly prepare it as part of our investigation and part of our report. One of the other things that we're finding when we find damage like that, and especially if they've gone in and they've done some sheetrock work or done some other kinds of work, a lot of times we say, well, we hear stories that, well, they've come in and they've done this and I'm still having these health symptoms. The background particulate in the air is a really important part of indoor air quality health, and it's a really overlooked part. I don't understand exactly why, because there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of studies globally about the problem that background particulate causes for breathing difficulties and other things in the indoor environment. But when you're doing drywall work and all that kind of stuff, the particles, the dust and stuff that's in the air is going to spike. And those can cause serious health issues also, especially with breathing difficulties. And the way that you get that out of the air is with filtration. And goes back to what we've found in these HVAC systems, which is your primary source of filtration for the indoor environment. The filters that they have in those are statistically equivalent to no filter at all when it comes to particles as small as respirable particulate, and that's the one that causes the big damage. And so people can be exposed to this background particulate either from work that's being done or from deterioration in the indoor environment due to some of the damage that has been done that doesn't show up in most reports. We actually, some of the reports will show that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, some kind of a scale like that. And some of them refer to it that whether or not this is likely to cause enough debris on the slide to prevent an accurate count of the particulate. But they're not looking at the particulate itself as a health cause to the individual. We actually do a statistical count in at least 3 cells to give an idea of what the background particulate is in the indoor environment. We find that the background particulate indoors is most often higher, much higher than outdoors, and in some cases much, much higher. To give you an equivalency, we took air samples from 56 locations that were taken during the code yellow and code red we had because of the fires up north. And in those air samples, about 24% of the samples had particulate levels above 200,000. What we're finding in the homes, and we're biased towards those that have some problems, is about 25% of the indoor air particulate is higher than 200,000. So in many cases in these damaged homes we go into, the background particulate is high enough that if it were in the outdoor air, that they'd have a code yellow or a code red declared, and nothing is being done about it. And these filters that we have in there are incapable